This is Famous B. And I wouldn't be having a drink if I wasn't drinking at Mo.
All right, everybody. Welcome, Drinkin Mo's Big Mo here. As always, you know the drill. YouTube, like, subscribe, comment, share, all that good stuff because that YouTube algorithm is a pain in the you-know-what. We are most places you can find your audio podcast. Today, I'm excited to have with me somebody that I, in doing my homework for this episode, realized that he was in some of my first ever independent wrestling shows. Famous B, how you doing?
I'm doing good. That's Mr. 423 Get Fame. That's right, man. I'm doing great, man. Happy to be here. Happy to be here.
Oh, yeah, man. You just reminded me of some of those, well, and we'll go into this, those Lucha Underground segments that you would do. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, that's what everybody loves right there. That's the bread and butter. That's what everybody loves, the gold business cards and everything of that nature, you know. So that's where it's at right there.
Oh, yeah. Now, first thing that I like to start off with everybody with is what got you started as a fan, and then what had you decide to finally make the leap into the business?
Oh, okay. So as a fan, you know, like I'm a young kid, right? And I'm watching, you know, most kids are watching cartoons and everything like that, but wrestling is what got me, you know. So as a very young child, man, wrestling is what got me. You know, I saw it on the tube for the first time and I was glued, you know. I had to be no more than 2, 3 years old because I can go back to remembering Hillbilly Jim and Captain Lou Albano and all that good stuff. And I'm a mid-'80s baby, you know, I was born in '85. So to remember those cats, you know, I had to be 2 or 3 years old. You know what I'm saying?
Yep, I'm 83 here, so.
Right. So I had to be no more than like 2, 3 years, 2, 3 years, 4 years old, you know, and things of that nature. And, you know, once I saw, you know, wrestling at that age, you know, I was glued and I've been a lifelong fan. And, you know, I actually come up and, you know, I didn't even know that there was that you can go to school for wrestling. It kind of just fell into my lap. You know, I got a flyer at one of the shows once I got old enough to actually attend shows and you know in my neighborhood. And, you know, I would go to the Raws and the SmackDowns and all that good stuff. And you know, I got a flyer that said, "Hey, train to be a professional wrestler from the Santino Brothers Wrestling Academy." Right. So I get one of these flyers and I'm looking at it and I'm like, wow, you can go to school for this? There's an academy for this? Like, you know, my mind was completely blown, you know? So, so I have the flyer, it sits around, you know, I throw it on a dresser, you know, and I walk past it, you know, in a couple weeks, and then I pick it up, I look at it again, I throw it on the coffee table, you know, and I walk past it, you know, I pick it up, a couple weeks go by. So, make a long story short, I had this flyer for about 2, 3 months. And you know what? I was like, let me just give it a call. Let me give it a call and just see, you know, because I'm like, hey, it's wrestling. I love wrestling. What the heck? I give it a call, man. I talked to Joey Chaos, the head trainer over at Santino Brothers Wrestling Academy. And, you know, we come up with a date for me to come in and have an orientation. I have an orientation, man, and man, I just loved it, you know, from the first day of class to the last, pretty much. But there really is no last, you know, because you're always training constantly.
Oh, yeah. That's the thing there.
That's the thing right there. You know, you got to stay consistent at it. But yeah, man, the rest was history. So that's pretty much how it started. You know, just me being a young tyke, just loving wrestling and growing up and getting a flyer to train and not knowing that you could train and go to an actual academy for it. To actually go to academy and, you know, graduating with flying colors and the rest is history.
Oh, yeah. I'm very familiar with Santino brothers, because Joey Chaos, the guy you brought up there,
Uh-huh.
was actually in my second ever independent wrestling show, and then for a promotion that, you know what, was actually where I got introduced to you, the the New Wave Pro down in
New
San
way.
Diego.
There you
And
go. Okay, anchors away.
yes, I've actually had both of those guys on.
Oh, Andy and Andy and them. Yeah, oh, they're great guys. Great
Oh,
guys.
totally. And
A funny
the
story.
oh
A
yeah, I've got
funny
a
story.
ton of stories from going to those shows, including the first one where I was just looking up. I literally, being stationed in San Diego, I was looking up, Googling pro wrestling in San Diego, and then boom, there popped up a show, and I'm like, boom, there
Right.
I am. And the match that I got introduced to you in, I don't
Hmm.
believe it was the second show I went to where I got introduced to Joey Chaos, but it was a little later where they had the ladder match,
Yeah.
6-way ladder match for the
Next thing
first
Letterman.
ever Rapid Division champion.
Yes, yes. I totally remember that. Yeah, I did a sunset flip power bomb off the top of the ladder.
Oh,
I think it was a Todd Chandler.
oh yeah, oh man, I remember that moment in particular. I was in preparation for the episode. I was like, man, I remember that spot, but I
Right.
was having trouble remembering who was in the spot. And yep, nope.
Right. Yeah, it was me and Todd Chandler. The funny thing, New Wave was actually the first promotion after I graduated that I had gotten myself booked for outside of just, recommendations from the school or whatnot. I had went down with a couple of buddies of mine, referee Eric Malikian, and and a couple of other friends. We went down to SoCal Pro actually,
Uh,
because I just jumped in a car, and it's one of those things where it's like you got to get yourself out there.
yep,
And my other buddy Chris Foss, of XPW fame,
yep.
announcer Chris Foss. We jumped in the car, we went down to SoCal Pro, and I ran into Adam Pierce. And
Mm,
Adam Pierce was saying, he was like, well, we don't have any openings tonight, but just keep coming back, and maybe we could work something out. And that's when I ran into Andy, from Acres Away.
mm.
And they were like, you know what? Yeah, we have a spot. Why don't you come down and work for us on such and such date? So going to SoCal Pro trying to get a booking, I ran into Anchors Away. I ended up getting a booking for them, and that ended up being my first booking, right out of training. So,
That's that's crazy. Yeah, it's
so
like,
that's a funny story.
oh yeah, no, that's an awesome one. I didn't realize that because, man, I just remembered going to those shows because I actually didn't get started on independent wrestling until pretty late. Like, some people are talking about, going to all these shows all the time. I
Hmm.
didn't even realize that it was really a thing until I got stationed in San Diego and that
Right.
story that I told you. And then here I am now. I got introduced to the late Jason Strife down there for SoCal Pro, actually. And then he told me about his promotion up here. And then
Yeah.
now here I am. I got countless friends that wrestle for that same promotion, wrestle all over the Midwest, out in California. I'm doing the podcast, getting people from all over, big names, people retired, Hall of Famers, all over the place.
Right. 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 And that's what it's all about. It's all about networking, and it's all about it's just one of those things where it's like everything comes full circle kind of deal. We all kind of bump into each other, and in different weird ways, whether it be shows, podcasts, TV shows, independent shows. You know what I mean? They kind of all, comes together kind of deal. So yeah, I'm happy to have brushed shoulders with some of the greats in the business and legends in
That
the business. Happy
oh
to
yeah,
call them my friends and things like that. And it's a beautiful thing.
oh yeah, and I actually in a little bit I have a category, a bit of a name game where I name off people that in looking at past matches, people that you've either shared a ring with or at least shared a locker room with. But
Right.
that'll come in a little bit. But another, when doing my homework, another promotion that a lot of people might know about that you have involvement in, PWG, which, good Lord, going from when I think it was right around the time I was still down in San Diego, but I was overhearing the buzz and then hearing it now, and it's still got that buzz that it's like, man, when you hear about a show, you need to hop on getting those tickets pretty damn quick.
You have to. They go so quick, don't they?
No, that they do. What are some memories you have of some of the days with the PWG?
Oh man, I remember my debut match. I mean, you can't forget your debut match. It was a
Oh,
six-way teaming up with myself. It was Chris Cadillac and Candice LeRae, which ended up being a tag team partner of mine, PWG, for a couple of those matches. But yeah, I just remember just the crowd and how awesome the crowd was and how rampant and just how and also too going back to what I was telling you earlier about the fact that I didn't really know that there was independent shows before I started training. PWG was one of the first ones I actually went to during training. It was AWS and PWG. The
mm-hmm.
PWG was one of the first ones. So I just remember myself just as a fan going through training, how awesome PWG was. So fast forward to becoming a participant or being on the card, it was like one of those things where it was like, wow, this is a dream come true because only the best of the best is invited to work on PWG. You know, one of my trainers told me, he said PWG is like getting your PhD in college in wrestling. if you're on those cards, So
Oh yeah.
for me to actually be on those cards and things like that was definitely phenomenal. But I had a handful of appearances, but my first one was the most memorable. So after the match was over, we went out there and we tore it up. We were all debuts except for I believe Candice LeRae was probably the only one who had already previously worked on a gorilla card. And the fans are going crazy and they're banging on the ring and they're yelling and they're chanting, please come back. I mean, that was like the first match where I really felt like the emotions started to come out of me, and I had to fight tears back on that one because it was just so emotional, just the fact that now not only am I here, not only did I arrive, not only did I, exceed the expectations, but I made it, and I'm wanted here by the fans, so that was definitely a memorable moment for
Oh,
one of the gorilla matches.
oh yeah. I can understand, when you're getting in the business, and hell, even when you've been in for a while, when you get a crowd chanting something like please come back, it's like, okay, this is awesome. Like I can't even imagine the feeling that gave you.
Oh man, it was insane. It was insane. It was insane. Like I said, I had to fight back tears on that one because it was just, you work so hard. You work so hard. I was only like maybe like a year and a half into my career at that point.
Mhm.
You know, we're looking at 13 today.
Okay.
So back then, it was a year and a half in, and it's just one of those things. Like I said, where it's a privilege to be booked on those cards. To
Oh,
have such an incredible amount of success in that match, and then therefore, other matches and things like that nature that I had after, man, it was very incredible.
oh, totally. And you brought up one name in there that, you know, it was he was actually one of my favorites when I got introduced to him down at the last promotion that we talked about, New Wave Pro, Chris Cadillac. Love that guy.
Yeah, Chris Cadillac is awesome. Yeah.
Actually, he's another guy I've actually had on the podcast. One of my relatively earlier episodes when I finally got to getting stuff to record with people that weren't just local to me.
Right. Oh, Cadillac is awesome. We had a lot of different battles and feuds and different promotions, and we battled for like the IWL Anarchy title along with Ray Rosas. Another good competitor that I've battled. Up in down the coast for years, and yeah, Chris Cadillac is an amazing person, an amazing human being, and definitely an amazing competitor. So hats off to Caddy.
Oh yeah, I remember the memory I have of him from New Wave was when the night he turned heel and joined, at the time it was the KOS, and he was cutting that promo, trying to do, pulling a brain fart here, but I remember me sitting front row yelling out, "Nobody cares." He was like, "You might not care, but you're going to listen," looking right at me. And I'm like,
oh, wow.
Dude, that was awesome.
Yeah. That's a true professional right there,
Oh, yeah. Like, when I go to shows, I have the habit of liking to try to get somebody to crack, whether it's a wrestler, referee, camera person, commentary, right, whoever, and
just somebody, right?
Oh yeah, or even getting them to just respond to me. So that was an early one I have there. Although I've had times where I've gotten guys in the ring just busted out laughing in the middle of a match. I'm like, yes.
Yeah, I got him.
Yep.
Oh, goodness. It's all fun. It's all fun. It's all for the entertainment of fans and everything like that. And it's just something that the boys are passionate about doing.
Oh yeah, no, and I had countless friends in the business, and just I love going supporting them. And actually, here soon, I'm a little upset that it's taken me this long to actually notch this one off my bucket list. I'm actually getting to go see my first cage match live.
Oh wow, that should be fun.
Oh yeah, I'm excited. It involves actually two of my really good friends in a tag match. So I'm like, oh man, I cannot resist going to my first cage match.
Oh, that should be awesome, man. That should be awesome.
Oh yeah. And now I mentioned what a lot of people might remember you from, especially out here where they might not be as familiar with some of the SoCal independent scene, but Lucha Underground. Like, I remember, I think I actually have every season of that show on Prime Video or something. But every season, and oh man, it was something else, because I actually just had this conversation last night with somebody I recorded with, that uniqueness in pro wrestling, especially even now, is kind of few and far between. And for that time, Lucha Underground was very unique. It definitely had that, because a lot of the cinematic matches that you see today, that got it right there.
Right. Absolutely. And the promos and vignettes and things like that of that nature. Absolutely.
And, you had some very memorable vignettes and storylines in it. What were some of your favorite ones that you were involved in?
Oh, I had so many, man. Almost everything I did was memorable to me because they were all so much But my storyline starting off with Masquerita Sagrada when I first,
Mm,
let me backtrack.
okay.
Doing the commercials were definitely the most memorable. The commercials, the 423 Get Fame commercials, where
Mm,
the way the producers laid it out to me, they were like, okay, so we want to do it like you're like a cheesy car salesman kind of deal.
mm,
That's pitching your services to all the wrestlers, because it was a new manager gimmick that they wanted me to come with from season one to season two. Because they had a different. I was casted as a different character, outside of him as the for season one, and which never came to fruition. So what they did is they took Famous B and they made a character for my original independent character myself, and they incorporated it into the show, and that's the way that they did it by having me retire as a wrestler and coming out as a salesman, so to speak, to manage the other wrestlers, which was genius because they wanted to pair me with a lot of the luchadors that they were getting from AAA, who weren't really familiar cutting promos or wasn't the best at speaking English, so to speak. So they wanted to pair me with them, the guys they were bringing over. So Masquerita Sagrada was my first
I remember
pairing.
that. Yeah.
Right, right, and it was so much fun. And then they got me the all white suit to have Masquerita Sagrada on the back, paying homage to Jimmy Hart,
Mm,
and just it was just so much fun, though. But the commercials, going back to the commercials, so I go in and I shoot the commercials. We did about three, and this is where they paired me with Holly, aka Beautiful Brenda, and so when we're shooting the commercials, they were saying, so we're getting a glare from your sunglasses on the camera.
mm.
So what they did was they took the glasses and they spray painted them black. And then I wore them and shot the commercials. So a lot of
Mm.
people don't realize I shot those commercials blind. I couldn't see a
Wow.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
I
couldn't see a thing. Like I shot those commercials like blind, and
That is
they came out
crazy.
great. Yeah, they came out great. So
That they did.
so the commercials are really like one of the things that stands out to me in lucha, and then all the matches that I had and all the successful matches and feuds and being with
Mm.
Masquerita Sagrada to bringing in Dr. Wagner Jr.
Oh yeah.
To eventually acquiring Tejano.
Mm.
To even later in the season, being paired up with Jack Swagger, Jake Hager,
Ah yes.
bringing in Sammy Guevara for the first time.
Mm.
And a lot of other different things are like some of the most memorable things that I've done in Lucha Underground.
Oh yeah. No, all very great things that I still remember them now. You bring them back up. I'm like, yeah, I definitely remember those. And the, it was kind of a anticlimactic ending there because it kind of left on a bit of a cliffhanger that last season where it was
Right.
like there was word like, oh, they might be bringing it back, but then they didn't, and then there was all sorts of word coming out about the weird contract situations, that how
Right.
those worked out. What was that like going through all that? Because I've heard so many stories about people getting out of the contract because it was like they couldn't work other places or something. It was weird.
Right. Yeah, no, it was definitely tough. Um, it was tough because it was one of those things where it was like that's the case. That was the case. If you were under contract, you couldn't work at other places. But the problem was that we had so much time in between filming season to season. One season it took, I want to say between two and three, it took almost 2 to 3 years just to
Mm,
film. So imagine, if you're under contract, you can't work another promotion in 2 to 3 years. You know what I
yeah,
mean? So,
yeah.
so a lot of the workers were really salty about that. But I mean, it was no knock on the company. I mean, if they were filming consistently, I'm pretty sure none of the other workers would have had a problem with the
Oh yeah.
actual contract, you know. But
Oh,
it was just too long of a gap in between, that just left workers a little flustered, a little bit salty about those contracts, because it's just too long to ask the talent not to work at another promotion,
oh
so by the time season 4 came around, a lot of the wrestlers were ready to move on at that time.
yeah. Now that was definitely something that I remember talking to some of my friends about back then when all that was coming out. It's like, yeah, there's there's national TV places all over that have similar stuff, kind of exclusivity contracts, but they're
Which are more
filming on
consistent.
that consistent basis, which
Right, right,
Lucha Underground wasn't. So
right.
it's like I can see why those other people out there would get frustrated with that, because it's like unless you're getting paid throughout that entire time.
Right, which wasn't the case. We're only getting paid on a per episode basis.
Yeah, so then that just takes away some income from you and your
Absolutely,
families, and that's just a whole sticky situation right there.
absolutely, absolutely. So, I mean, ultimately, like the discomfort, from the workers and things like that, just some other upper management stuff, just kind of like led to the demise of the whole thing altogether.
Yeah, and although now I'm seeing little iterations of it trickling in with MLW. I've seen little
Yeah,
bits of it coming through there with some of the
right,
stuff that they've done, which I mean, it's cool. I love seeing it. I love people getting those opportunities.
right, right.
Now,
Yeah.
oh yeah, go ahead.
No, 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 absolutely. I've seen a couple of things as well with MLW, trying to rehash, some of the aspects of it. So that's pretty good. I mean, I hope they keep going. I hope they bring the
Definitely,
whole thing back.
that would be nice.
Hire us all. Hire us all. That'd be
Yeah.
great.
Oh yeah. Now, before we get into my two categories, what have you been up to lately? What has been going on with Famous B?
Lately, actually, to be honest, I've been on a bit of a hiatus ever since the pandemic.
Mm,
Yeah, the pandemic has really, grabbed everybody and kind of grabbed them by the throat and shook everything up, kind of deal. So I've been on a hiatus, but I'm getting back into it. I'm getting ready to go to Australia next week, for Battle Championship Wrestling. I
nice.
have a match out there for the Battle Express Championship against Jonathan Preston, and I'm coming for him and his title. So I'm getting back into the groove. I'm getting back into the groove, and I'm starting overseas down under, baby. That's what's up.
Hey, that's awesome. I've been hearing great things about shows they got going on down there, and I'm glad you're getting back in the swing of things, because I did notice that you'd been on a bit of a hiatus from wrestling, but glad you're getting back out there.
Absolutely, yes, yes. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. And yeah, so you'll be hearing a lot more, seeing a lot more from me next coming
Definitely
in the near future.
looking forward to it. Now, I have, like I mentioned, one of the categories, bit of a name game where I try to theme it towards the guest as much as possible, like people you've shared a ring with, or at the very least share a locker room with, and you give
Right.
me some quick thoughts on the person.
Okay.
First one was one that I guess I didn't really realize at this point was this person, because, as what happens with wrestling, people go through different name changes, but he's also been in Lucha Underground, but where I found him was at PWG. The Machine, Brian Cage.
Oh my God. Brian Cage. Wow. That's a pretty good start. Oh, Brian Cage. I love that guy, man. We were attached at the hip in like 2012, man. We wrestled everywhere up and down California. Um, NWA Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. We shared a locker room there. We shared a locker room in Pro Wrestling Revolution up north in San Jose from myself. in California. But yeah, I love Brian Cage. We've had so many battles. We've had battles for the Dungeon Championship, a heavyweight championship, should say, in which he finally wrestled it away from me in a triple threat match that we had with myself, him, and Brian Kendrick. And
Mm.
yeah, we just had a ton of different matches. Great guy, great opponent. And hey, he's the machine. He gets his shit in. What else can I really say about it?
Oh,
But
yeah.
love Brian Cage. Love Brian Cage to death. And we've had a ton of great matches. You can find a lot of our matches on YouTube and things of that nature. And yeah, man, I can't say enough about him.
Oh, yeah. I've loved this run that he's been on right now with Ring of Honor, AEW. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
there was a bit of a rocky start there, but now he's, oh man, this run that he's in with the Mogul Embassy. And I
Right,
actually got to meet him at Warrior Wrestling when they had their stop in St. Louis. I got
right.
invited down there to be a part of the Fan Fest, my
Mm-hmm.
podcast and stuff. And there, he ended up being a surprise replacement for Will Ospreay in a match because there, he Will Ospreay had the medical thing that he couldn't be there, and
Uh-huh.
then Brian Cage having the history that he did with Warrior Wrestling, boom, he was there. I got to meet him after the show. Nothing but
Great
great
guy.
thing. Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
great guy. Great guy. You
totally.
can't go wrong with the machine, Brian Cage.
He, he was definitely. I like him when I got to actually talk to him for a second. It was like how I felt when I got to meet Dan Severn.
Okay.
When I was looking at him before, like when I was just walking up, I'm like, oh
Right.
my god, that guy is intimidating as hell. But then I actually got to talking to him, and oh yeah, nice dude.
Nice dude. Yeah, yeah. Not intimidated at all, right? When you start talking
Oh
to
yeah, but yeah, that initial, oh my god, he's right there. He is scary as shit.
him. Yeah, man.
Next
Yeah,
up,
Brian.
somebody that we actually talked a little bit about in your first ever match at PWG,
Right.
doing some great things, getting back in there with WWE, Candice LeRae.
Candice LeRae. Oh man, she's a great partner in PWG. Definitely a great partner in PWG. One of the most sweetest, nicest, wholesomest women that you can find in pro wrestling. Um, a great partner. And I will tell you this chick right here is tough as nails. She's tough as any of the other guys that I've ever worked with. I mean, she holds her own in the ring. She is by far, she has the most heart. She's the toughest. I love her to death. And oh man, what a great partner and what a great, you know, talent,
Oh yeah.
talent in the business of wrestling. I've never met a chick that as tough as her in pro wrestling. Period.
Oh man, yeah. When you look at, I mean, you don't really get to see this side of it in WWE, but like you
Right,
go back to those PWG days, holy crap. You talk
right.
about equal opportunity ass kickers. Candice LeRae definitely fits the mold on that.
Absolutely. You would never know, right? You would never know by watching some of the things that she does in WWE. But at the same time, there's more to life than just WWE. When you look at her life outside of WWE, that's when you'll see, like, that's when your mind will be blown. You're like, whoa, she's in there taking chair shots and this and that and
Yeah.
bleeding and X, Y, and Z. And like, man, she's a tough chick. She's a badass for sure.
Oh, most definitely. Now, the next guy, another guy, some history there at PWG. I actually got to meet him again at New Wave. I believe, and you know what? When I was looking up this match, it actually happened to be the match that the guy that won the first ever Rapid Division title, lost it. And it ended up being one of my favorite matches I've ever seen.
Oh, wow.
It was Scorpio. Well, I'll give it away. The guy I'm asking about, Scorpio Sky, but it was him versus TJP versus Brandon Parker and B-Boy.
Oh, wow. All four guys. All four good guys. Right
Oh yeah.
all
But
four
like I
good guys.
said, asking about Scorpio Sky.
Scorpio Sky, wow. Well, Scorpio Sky is someone that everybody labeled me as like when I first started, when I first got in the business. So therefore I had to distinguish myself. So I grew my hair out, hence the braids a little bit later. I started wearing a do-rag, because I had to distinguish myself from the bald-headed Scorpio Sky, kind of deal. So Scorpio Sky is somebody that I guess you could say, which is a compliment that I reminded a lot of people of when I first got into the business. So I had to distinguish myself, and make my, and be my own, stand on my own kind of deal. And I didn't want to be a Scorpio Sky the second, so to speak.
Yeah.
But being in the ring with Scorpio Sky is definitely amazing. We've had amazing matches in NWA Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, and other places as well. And we fought for titles. We fought for the NWA Junior Heavyweight title. And Scorpio Sky is a great opponent. Definitely, we had great chemistry in the ring. We fought for the AWS Light Heavyweight Championship, in which I retained, by the way. But yeah, Scorpio Sky is a great competitor. We also wrestled in PWG as well in an 8-man tag team match. And I can't say enough great things about Scorpio Sky. All the success he's having now in AEW and with the SCU and everything that he's doing. He's long time, well deserved, long overdue for him. So I'm glad he's doing great. Glad he's doing great. And yeah, he's definitely a brother from another mother.
Oh yeah, and you brought up, that I'd take it as a compliment. Wow, I remind them of somebody of that stature, and then
exactly.
Going up to now. He's had runs with the TNT title. I rather enjoyed the team that he had there for a while with Ethan Page. That was a good one.
Yeah.
Now, this guy, I guess after a while, I didn't realize that this guy played this certain character in Lucha Underground, but Swerve, a.k.a. Killshot.
Killshot, man. That's my boy right there. Yeah, Killshot. Yeah, that's my guy right there, man. Swerve is awesome. I remember when we first, after he had his death match on Lucha Underground, we had tickets to go see a concert, which was not far. It was at the Staples Center, which was like maybe like about a good, 10, 15 minutes away from where we were filming at. And this guy is bleeding all over the place. And the show's over and he has the medics is cleaning him up and he's limping. He's like, hey, let's go make that concert. So I'm like, all right, cool. So we get there and, we get there at the tail end. And it was Lil Wayne and 2 Chainz, by the way. It was the headline. That's what we went to go see. So we went to go see Lil Wayne right after his death match that he had with Dante Potts at Ultima Lucha. So that's a funny story about him. But
wow,
great guy. Yeah, so a great guy, a great friend, and man, he's the bomb.
I actually got to meet him once. Actually, if you see behind me, up top, I have a bunch of my autographed wrestling figures. One of them of Swerve, where I got to meet him at Sami Callahan's promotion, Wrestling Revolver.
Okay, yeah. I was down there once as well in Iowa.
Yeah, it was at the one of the Iowa stops because that's like maybe 2.5 hours from where I live right now. And
gotcha.
he was at the time still AEW tag champ with Keith Lee, and I had
Right.
three figures. And I'm like, man, I want to get these signed. And
Mhm.
one of them was his, one of them was Keith Lee, and the other was Rich Swann.
Right.
And I remembered, man, it was at the end of the night, and I hadn't, neither of those three were out at the meet and greet before. I'm like, well, damn it. Now I'm not. And then literally I turn around and like 2 feet from me, there's Rich Swann. So I'm like, oh shit. And then I got that
Yeah.
one. And then I'm walking out to my car and I see somebody film. It looked like they were filming a promo out in the parking lot. And I get a little closer. And I'm like, holy shit, that's Swerve. So I'm like,
Right.
okay. And then I had to wait probably another good hour for Keith Lee. But I
Right.
just remember, like, oh man, I'm going to wait here for a minute for Swerve to finish, and then I'm going to get mine signed by him because I know
Right.
at least I'll get that. And yeah, he was so cool. It was like
Yeah, he's really cool.
such a contrast from the character that he's playing now with the Mogul Embassy. Is like
Right.
he's playing a, pardon my language, and anybody that watches this knows that I don't really hold back on the language, but he is playing one ruthless son of a bitch.
Yeah, yeah. But if you know him, that's far from the person. So
Oh yeah, and
he's
it's
just doing it.
funny sometimes how like the most ruthless heels, sometimes when you actually get to talk to them like off camera, some of
Right.
the nicest people ever.
Right. Because at the end of the day, that's what it is. It's a character,
Yeah,
and it's not a reflection of who you are in your everyday life.
true, definitely
You
true.
know. So sometimes when you get to be something that you're totally not, those it works the best because that's the only time that you can be that way. If it
Yeah,
makes sense.
and you can get extra creative because you can be like, I would like to try this, but I know if I'm trying to be the good guy, that ain't gonna be able to happen. So
Right.
you get a little extra creativity.
Right.
Now,
Absolutely.
last but not least, a guy that might not be as nationally known, but he's like a brother to me. Met him during my many shows that I went to down in Southern California.
Mm-hmm.
And I've told him anytime I get to hype you up on one of my episodes, I am going to take it. The one, the only SoCal Crazy.
Oh my. So cow crazy. Well, I will go as far as to say I probably wrestled some of my best matches with this guy. We had a best of 7 series at the Santino Brothers Wrestling Academy, which all 7 of them were probably my top 7 to 8 matches. Period. My entire career. Oh man, what a joy! What a joy! I mean, he's one of the best workers, and he's been doing it for so long. He's been around forever. He was the match that I wrestled at New Way when I got my debut. Well, actually, no, it wasn't my debut match. My debut match, I wrestled Lucha Machine, another student from Santino Brothers, when I debuted in New Way. But he was the second match that I wrestled in New Way, um, way back when. But yeah, I can't say enough great things about that guy right there. SoCal Crazy is definitely the man. We have great chemistry. We wrestled in FCW. We wrestled in New Wave. We wrestled at SoCal Pro. Wrestled at Santino Brothers. Wrestled in NWA Championship. Wrestling from Hollywood. Just all over the place, man. And every single time we've had great matches, man. And yeah, that's my brother. Definitely my brother from another mother. And we just had the best chemistry ever, man. I can't say enough good things about him.
Oh yeah, I can't say enough good things about him either. I know when I had a bit of a rough patch that lasted a lot of last year, he was
Mhm.
one of the people that checked up on me the most, and
Yeah.
can never thank him enough. Hell, he even, and good Lord, I am so happy for him with how he's bounced back from almost death's door.
Right.
And now he is just making up for lost time, which I'm so damn happy. I remember he actually he put on a uh, benefit show, and he
Mhm.
actually double benefited in the memory of my wife and I. We had twin girls that were born prematurely and didn't make it too long. But and
Sorry to hear
he dedicated that show also to them. And I remember I didn't even ask for it. He when we were talking about all of it, and he's like, he just said, I'm doing this. I'm like, you do not have to do that. And he's like,
that.
no, your family, I'm doing it. I'm like, okay.
That's the guy he is, man. That is the guy he is, man. Hermano. That's what we call it here.
Yes,
Hermano.
definitely. Oh man,
Hermano.
nothing but great things to say about that man. Now, I have
Absolutely.
some kind of random questions. Some might be wrestling related, some might not be. You just
Sure.
first answer that pops into your head.
Mhm.
First one of the ones I try to keep in here as much as possible. Craziest in match moment for you.
Oh, man. Craziest in match moment. It would have to be the triple threat ladder match where I jumped off the ladder from the outside of the ring into the inside of the ring because I was adamant on doing some video game type shit. so I
Okay.
So I set the ladder up on the outside of the ring in the corner where the pole would be, but outside of it. And it was like a 15-foot ladder. And I jumped off into a swanton on the inside of the ring. That was against Ray Rosas and Chris Cadillac at IWL, one of the new eras for
Ooh,
IWL. Yeah.
wow. Yeah. Hard hard to beat that. That's for sure. I know I've heard some stories from, oh good lord, that ECW original story of involving New Jack and getting thrown through a wall and Paul Heyman yelling at him.
Right. I bet. Actually, that's a bet.
Oh god, yeah. And my first ever legit death match, and not one of those that, oh, I'm still shaking my head at what I saw on AEW last night with that mess. That's a whole nother story. But in this match, it was another for Sammy Callahan's promotion where it ended by them taking 4 folding chairs, bridging 2 panes of glass on there, and then somebody's manager came rolling in and pulled out lighter fluid and lit the glass on fire.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, some insane stuff. Now,
Yeah.
next question. You mentioned that you're getting back in the swing of things, going down there to
Right.
Australia.
Right.
What is another match that you, maybe you don't already have it on the books, but what is another match coming back that you would like to have?
I wouldn't say that there's any one in particular, but I will say there's a place that I would like to go, and that would be Japan.
Okay.
That's on my bucket list. That's definitely on my bucket list is Japan.
That is definitely still on my bucket list to go to Japan. I know that, man, closest I've ever come to Japan was on deployment where we anchored off of Japan for a little bit. And some people got to go ashore. I unfortunately didn't. But
Right.
I'm like, man, I want to go. And like I've seen these YouTube videos of these uh, capsule hotels where it's like you got this mini ass room, and some of them almost remind me of the sleeping situations, maybe a little bit more roomy than on my ship, but kind
Right.
of the same similar style of a thing. And I'm like, you know what? I wouldn't mind going to a Japanese wrestling show and staying in one of those.
Right, right. Wouldn't that be the bomb?
That it would be. Now, some of the some people I know myself, I've definitely thought of this that if what would I do if I ever won the lottery? Like, what would be one of the first things that I would get? What would you say would be an answer you would have?
I would start a wrestling promotion.
Okay, okay.
I would start a promotion. I'd do it everything the right way, and and I would be right up there with AWE, and WWE.
Oh yeah, no, that would be pretty awesome. I know I hell I wouldn't mind doing something like that.
If I had the finances, I would do it just. I would be right up there, and I would do it just like AWE and WWE.
Oh yeah, I know some people think I'm crazy for this, but I've always, ever since I saw this, there's this exhibit at the zoo here in Omaha where they have like this whole swamp setup where like you're walking over this almost boardwalk bridge sort of thing, and then you
Mhm.
look down and there's all sorts of gators swimming around. And I'm like, if I ever had the just what I call fuck it money, that would be
Right.
something I build that.
That would be awesome.
Yeah,
That
like
would be
it,
awesome.
and it's in a nocturnal animal exhibit there to where like when everybody's there, so the animals are more active, they have the lights off. But at night, and I've actually been there at night when they, have it would be like their daytime, they have the lights on, and you actually see how many damn gators they have in there. And it's like, holy shit.
Right. I bet it's amazing. I'm like, nah, okay. So I'm gonna go back the other way.
Oh, yeah. That is one place every time I go, I have to go down there. Now,
Right. Check it out.
next question on the category. I would feel weird if I did not have this one on here with the name of a show like Drinking at Moe's. Favorite drink, whether it be alcoholic, non, or one of each, because I always tell people just because the name of the show says Drinking at Moe's does not mean it has to be alcoholic.
That's all good, man. We could go alcohol all day. That's fine. Oh, you know what? I have so many different favorite drinks. Oh man, I love 707s. I love tequila sunrises. I love a good Cadillac margarita with a Grand Marinero inside. Um, all kinds of beers, IPAs. Um, hell, even Stone Cold's beer is good.
Oh man. I
Even those are great.
oh yeah. I I've had the IPA, it's good, but
Hmm.
out of the ones of his, that American lager, holy hell, is freaking delicious.
Oh man, I gotta try that out.
And
Definitely gotta try the lager. I've had the IPA.
oh yeah, the American lager is delicious. I have unfortunately, it's not really available here in Omaha. The last time I was actually able to have it was I was on a trip with my dad up to watch the Green Bay Packers up in Green Bay, Wisconsin, and they actually
Hmm.
had a grocery store near there that had some. And I actually, it's weird how they only come in like 4 packs.
Right, four,
I
six
bought
packs,
the
yeah,
last
four packs.
one. I
Nice,
I got lucky and I bought the last one.
nice. And
Last
it
but
was,
not least for this, best advice for anybody wanting to get into wrestling.
oh, just do it and stay consistent. Just do it and stay consistent, because if you question yourself if whether you can do it or not, you're wasting time. You know,
Yeah,
you'll never know until you actually do it. And then once you actually do it, then you have to stay consistent.
yeah,
Consistency is the key. You
definitely.
know, you can't do it. You can't be a part timer. You can't go on and off. You can't, you have to get in there and you have to do it consistently. And once you do it consistently, next thing you know, you'll look up and you're cooking like on fire and on all cylinders. So don't second guess yourself and just get in there and stay consistent. That's the best advice I have for
Oh,
anyone aspiring to be a pro.
oh, definitely. And like great advice there because I mean, yeah, you got to be consistent in there. But like I actually just had this conversation the other day that when it comes to getting into wrestling or getting into anything really, the whole
Right.
every journey starts with that first step. You got to get out there and just do it.
Yep. And do it. You got to jump in the water head first, and then you got to just continue to swim consistently. That's everything else will come. Everything else will come along the way. But that's the first two things you have.
Definitely. Now, before we go, where can people find Famous B social media wise so if they don't already have their eyes on you and, with you getting back out in the swing of things, they
That's
can put
right.
their eyes there?
That's right. Well, I have an official fan page that I need to update on my Facebook. Um, but you can definitely find me at my Instagram, which is at famousb_423. You can find me on Twitter at famousb23, and Facebook as well at Brian Payne.
All right. Well, that is about all I have. I want to thank you for taking the time to talk to me tonight. And best of luck out there getting down there to Australia and everything else you got coming after that.
Thank you. Thank you. It's been a long time coming, man. It's been a long time coming, but I'm glad we finally got it done. And you know what? This won't be the last time that I'll be on here as well. Next time
Oh,
I'll
yeah.
come over here. Next time I come on, I'll be on cam and I'll definitely be having a drink with you.
Definitely. You're welcome back anytime.